People are often quick to talk about a prophet's reward and benefits of being a prophet. And people think highly about being a prophet or someone who is a prophet. But today I want to talk about a prophet's disobedience. We can find an example of this in 1 Kings 13. We're going to go over scriptures 11 through 29. Starting in verse 11, it says, "Now an old prophet lived in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. They also told their father the words that he had spoken to the king. And their father said to them, 'Which way did he go?' And his sons showed him the way that the man of God who came from Judah had gone. And he said to his sons, 'Saddle the donkey for me.' So they saddled the donkey for him, and he mounted on it. And he went after the man of God and found him sitting under an oak. And he said to him, 'Are you the man of God who came from Judah?' He said, 'I am.' Then he said to him, 'Come home with me and eat bread.'" Before we go any further, I want you to see that this man had chased down this prophet and wanted him to come to his house and eat with him because of the widespread fame he had gotten from the works he did in Bethel. So what the guy was chasing after was for his own benefit. He just wanted to say, this prophet, this man of God, ate with me at my house. So the man of God who was sitting under the tree said, "I may not return with you or go in with you, neither will I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. For it was said to me by the word of the Lord, you shall neither eat bread nor drink water there, nor return by the way you came." So the guy said to him, "I also am a prophet as you are. And an angel spoke to me by the word of the Lord, saying, 'Bring him back with you into your house that he might eat bread and drink water.'" But the guy was lying. He was just lying because he wanted that guy to eat with him. Unfortunately, this prophet went back to eat with him and ate bread in his house and drank water after the Lord had already told him, "No, do not do this." So you can see this prophet had a word from the Lord. He said, "It was said to me by the word of the Lord, you shall neither eat bread or drink water there, nor return by the way you came." He had a rhema word from the Lord that said, "Do not do this." But he was able to be convinced or persuaded by someone else claiming to be a prophet. The guy does actually hear from the Lord, but this time he was actually lying. So as they sat at the table, the word of the Lord came to the prophet who had brought the man of God back to the house, the one that lied. And he cried to the man of God who came from Judah, "Thus says the Lord, because you have disobeyed the word of the Lord, and have not kept the command of the Lord your God commanded you, but have come back and eaten bread and drunk water in the place of which he said to you, 'Eat no bread and drink no water. Your body shall not come to the tomb of your fathers.'" So you see, the prophet that lied got a stern warning from the Lord, and he had to give a word to this prophet that he lied to that says, "I'm sorry, since you disobeyed the Lord, you're going to die." Now, sometimes what can happen among prophets, unfortunately, is a spirit of competitiveness or jealousy. And so sometimes another prophet might lie in order to gain leverage. In this situation, this guy was, it says, an old prophet. So he had been around for a while. And now there was this new man of God, this new prophet who came and did a bunch of mighty works, and everybody was talking about it. And then this guy was able to get him to come to his house, be disobedient to the Lord, and ultimately he died. So now the old prophet's the only prophet. And after he had eaten bread and drunk, he saddled the donkey for the prophet whom he had brought back. And as he went away, a lion met him on the road and killed him. And his body was thrown in the road, and the donkey stood beside it, and the lion also stood beside the body. And behold, men passed by and saw the body thrown into the road, and the lion standing by the body. And they came and told it in the city where the old prophet had lived. The old prophet was the one that lied, that caused the guy to persuaded him to be disobedient to the Lord. So I guess a lesson that we can learn here from being a prophet and the importance of obedience to the Lord. The Lord has a reason for telling us, no, don't do something. And I mean, obviously, if the old prophet was willing to lie and tell him, oh, actually, I was told something different and you should listen to me, the Lord probably told him, don't do it, because the Lord didn't want the man of God in that kind of company. He didn't want him hanging out with that kind of prophet. And I mean, because he was disobedient, he ended up killed by a lion and his body thrown in the street for people to look at. So when the prophet that had brought him back from the way heard of it, he said, "It is the man of God who disobeyed the word of the Lord. Therefore the Lord has given him to the lion, which has torn him and killed him, according to the word that the Lord spoke to him." And he said to his sons, "Saddle the donkey for me." And they saddled it. He went and found his body thrown in the road, and the donkey and the lion standing beside the body. The lion had not eaten the body or torn the donkey. And the prophet took up the body of the man of God and laid it upon the donkey and brought it back to the city to mourn and bury him. I think that it's important that they wrote in here that the lion didn't eat the prophet or do anything to the donkey. It was specific to the prophet, the one that was disobedient. The consequence was specific to that prophet. Sometimes it's difficult because things will appear to be good. Another person might say, "Hey, I'm like you," but they may not be like you at all. They may be a liar. It's extremely important to stick to what the Lord has told you specifically, because what he says to someone else may not be what he says to you, and that's for a purpose. If someone says, "Oh, this is what the Lord said to me," your response should be, "I'll pray about that." And then actually pray about it. Another thing that I want to mention here about the old prophet, the one that lied, the purpose in him lying to the man of God was to get him to bring that fame to his household. So what ended up happening was it brought humiliation to his household instead, because the prophet got torn to pieces by a lion and killed right after leaving his house. So he lost everything he was attempting to gain by saying, hey, this big name man of God right here ate at my house. Now everybody knows that dude just ate at his house, and now he's dead because a lion killed him. I personally don't think anybody else would ever want to eat at his house. I think he would have a hard time having house guests. And the Lord is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if this is how it was then, it is still now. So whether you're like the old prophet who wanted to gain something by a big name man of God who's doing something, or if you're like the other one who heard the Lord and knew what the Lord said, but still was allowed to be persuaded by someone else, there are consequences for both. You have to be a prophet of God that is willing to be uncompromised. You just don't obey men whatsoever. You listen to the Lord and the Lord only. And if the Lord tells you to do something, you do it. If the Lord tells you don't, you surely do not, because there will be consequences.